In 3, 2, welcome to Real Hospitality Live, where I am very excited to have my guest, Robert Coull. Robert is an entrepreneur for decades in Canada, and I can't wait to have a conversation with you today, Robert, about your experience, your tenacity, your business, how you've grown it, your world travels. It just gets me so excited to talk to a man who's been in business for as long as you have, and to just learn. And again, this is what I said to people who I wanted to come and watch the video today. This is what a great opportunity to hear about your big contracts, your small contracts, and all of your ideas. So I'm looking forward to picking your brain. Welcome today.
Thank you so much, Chef. I appreciate that, and it's just great to be here. I thank you for having this platform for myself and other companies to come together to share and to learn and to grow. And I'm as excited as you are today to tell a little bit about my story and a little bit about kind of where I've come through and where the business is going to. So I'm very excited about that. So thanks so much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. So how did you get started in this epic journey? I mean, you now have Canadian Expert Cleaning, which of course is Canada-wide, and I know that you've been around the world and been to Europe, and you've got some big, very, very big name contracts that you've had and worked with. So let's go into the origin story first, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely, I don't mind at all. So it all actually started back at the Eaton Centre, the Toronto Eaton Centre, where I actually started there as a pot washer and a dishwasher. And just, I actually liked working there because there was really good looking girls. And, but I can't explain it. I actually loved what I was doing. So what the Toronto Eaton Centre allowed me to do was to learn all the way along. So I started off as a pot washer, a dishwasher. Then eventually I started cleaning the kitchen. And it's where I found my greatest joy, my greatest passion. I can't explain it to you. Most people look at a kitchen and they want to run the other way. And I've actually had people do that as I've come and brought them into kitchens as they started training them for work. They've actually looked at it and said, this is not for me. But somehow I gravitated towards it. I just loved it. And I had some people along the way, and you'll hear about a lot of them, that really helped me to develop and learn and how to be the best at it. But I absolutely, from that day until this day today, absolutely love cleaning kitchens. So that's kind of where it started. And I was trying to move up within the organization, and basically kind of corporate or the head there said, we don't really think you're management material. And I said, oh, okay. So I basically said, listen, I'm going to give you my 2 weeks notice. Maybe it's time for me to go out and explore what else is available out there. And it just so happened that a good friend, somebody who had trained me actually, recommended me to the Holiday Inn. And I was recommended to the Holiday Inn as a night cleaner supervisor. So it was right within my wheelhouse, in a sense that I was looking after 5 kitchens. I had 5 gentlemen that were working with me. Here's the interesting part. They spoke Portuguese. And I didn't. So the good thing was there was one gentleman that was younger, and his ability to, begin to teach me Portuguese. So like even things like segunda-feira, terça-feira, quarta-feira, which is just the days of the week, were important because I had to schedule days off and people to come in and bon dia, how are you, good day, and so on, and good night, and just to be respectful to them. So I learned their language, which they respected, of course. Now, at the time, I was 18 years old. These men were in their 40s, sometimes in their 50s. So sometimes, as you know, Chef, there's a respect thing that maybe wouldn't happen there, right?
Sure.
So this is how I decided to earn their respect. So we had 5 kitchens to clean every night, and I was the supervisor, but I was a working supervisor. I got right in there with them, and I pulled things apart, and I cleaned. And then eventually what I did was they would start, and I would go pick one kitchen every night myself personally, pull it apart, clean it, so that by the time they got to that kitchen, they wouldn't have to stop. They could go on to the next kitchen, which at the Holiday Inn downtown Toronto, which was right by City Hall there, was a kitchen up on the 27th floor.
Oh.
But after a while, they said to me, they said, well, they thanked me so much for just kind of taking that responsibility from them. And they saw the commitment I had to doing a great job. So one of the older guys comes over to me and says, Robert, come here. You don't have to work anymore. You'll be the supervisor. You show us what needs to be done. We don't need you to work. So I had earned their respect. Right. And that was so important. We had breakfast together in the morning. The chefs would prepare us breakfast because it was Holiday Inn, right? Mm-hmm. We had things like Memphis audits coming, which of course terrified everybody.
Right.
Because so a Memphis audit is head office is coming in to dissect everything. Yeah, exactly. Are you using the proper procedures? Are the restaurants clean? Are people washing their hands? Do they have hair nets? So for the week that we thought they were coming, we'd have hair nets on. We'd all have to be washing our hands and doing all these things. And of course, making sure the back of the house, because that's what I was involved with, was looking fantastic. So we did that. I loved it there. It was fantastic. So as a part of my journey, I met a gentleman in the front of the house who was polishing the marble. And I was fascinated by that. Fascinated. He made a floor that, people had walked on all day, whether it was salt or whatever the case may be. He made it gorgeous. I said, I really want to learn how to do that. So he actually took me under his wing and taught me how to polish the marble. Then he said, I can teach you how to do floors and offices and other restaurants. And I said, I want to learn. I love to learn. I love cleaning. Like I said, to this day, still do. So he took me under his wing. Shortly after, he actually offered me, and this is where it kind of all starts, where the whole story starts, is he says, do you know Winston's Restaurant? And I said, Winston's Restaurant? No, I don't know Winston's Restaurant. John Arena? John Arena, no, I don't know John Arena. Well, when the Queen comes in or the Prime Minister comes in, they go there to eat. That is the place. I said, okay, cool. This is what he said to me that caught my attention. He says, I'm going to pay you $2,400 a month to clean the kitchens and the restaurant. And I said, that was more than what I was currently earning. Of course, I had to get a phone call, right? That was way more than what I was earning at the time. And I said, and I went to take a look at it. He brought me there. I introduced me to Mr. Arena and said, this is going to be your new cleaner. And I said, wow, so $2,400 a month. I'm 18 years old. It was a lot of money back then to clean a restaurant. Right. And that's where I began. I began, and probably 2 weeks into the contract, John Arena, the owner, comes up to me and says, you're Robert, right? I said, yes, I am. He says, I want to let you know, you are doing an amazing job. There has never been somebody like you that cares the way you do. And he actually said to me at that point, he says, listen, he says, are you happy working with the guy that you're working? Because they weren't so happy with him as a contractor, but they were happy with me. I said, you know what? He treats me really well, because he had always paid me on time, treated me very well. So I said, you know what? I'm going to just stick with that relationship for now. I appreciate, because he basically said I could have the contract. I said, I want to appreciate that and honor that contract with him. If anything ever goes wrong, though, he says, if anything ever goes wrong, my door is open. Come in anytime and let me know, and we'll get this thing going. So right. To be honest, I was kind of scared of starting my own business at that point, right? I'm 18, I'm just coming into the world and stuff. But 6 months later, that gentleman who was so kind to me stopped paying me. And that happens in the industry, unfortunately, way too often, right? That cleaners work hard and don't get paid. Sometimes the problems of the contracting company either flow in there or whatever, for whatever reasons, right? But I didn't get paid. So on the second month, I called the contractor. I said, listen, I need to get paid because I can't work for free, So I live at home, which I did at the time, but I still wanted to get my pay. So he says, well, I'm having problems and stuff. I said, well, listen, I got to do something about it. So I went and saw John Arena, and my very first company, which was called Cleaning Solutions, was formed, and I started cleaning Winston's under Cleaning Solutions. And what an exciting time that was.
Well, that's where integrity starts and where integrity goes from there. Has taken you lots of great places.
Absolutely. So from there, John Arena, he was basically, I could go anywhere. So I went to the Westbury Hotel. I was courting Vic Tanny's even at the time, which turned into I can't remember some fitness company, whatever. But and so my big one was the Westbury Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Westbury Hotel, which they were actually called the Lowe's Westbury, if you remember them back in the time. They were a pretty prestigious hotel. And I basically went in there, and the food and beverage director said, so, like, what are you doing in the industry? Why should we even be here sitting down talking to you? I said, well, I clean for John Arena. He said, okay, that's good enough. Sit down. So I put together a cleaning proposal. John Arena basically told the food and beverage director who he knew. They had a great relationship together. If you hire this guy, you'll have the cleanest kitchen you've ever had. So they hired me. And so that was my next move was there. And then from there, I just kind of built the business. I was probably hovering around a $500,000 business. So a pretty nice business for a young guy.
Sure.
But I made some mistakes. I hired friends. So you laugh because I think you know.
Rule number.
Absolutely. I didn't know that then, but I quickly out. So I hired my friends. It seemed to work out okay for a while, but of course they weren't very happy because they were cleaning nights and I was cleaning too, but other locations, and my business was building. And unfortunately, I think just comes to be that, when basically it is when I wasn't around, they were doing their own thing.
Right.
And it put me into a lot of trouble. So I built that up for a while and got very excited about it. And then, but I was always, and this is probably the crux of my thing, is that I always wanted to find a better way. I always wanted to find a better chemical, a better procedure, just a better way to get a better job done. So I did that for quite a while, for quite a few years. I ran my own business. And then I'm going to kind of fast forward that a little bit to about, I guess, it's actually now almost 20 years ago. So about 20 years ago, I was walking through a trade show and I hear this kind of hissing sound and I go, what is that? Right. And it's it drew me right away. Well, in fact, it was a gentleman that had a steamer. It was a small steamer at the time. It was one that came from Germany, but he was steam cleaning oven racks, convection oven racks. So you're very familiar with that, right, Chef?
Yeah.
Exactly, how caked on they get, how tough they are to clean. And he pulled this out and he definitely sprayed it down with a degreaser, but when he hit it with the steam and the steel brush, it started cleaning right away. I said, I gotta get me a steam machine. So basically what had happened at that point was I decided that I needed to start to investigate steam. So I started to investigate it with this particular guy. Not too far after that, I actually ran into a gentleman that who is today a very, very good friend. He's actually the gentleman, his name is Lowell Fisher. He actually imports the equipment. Mm-hmm. We actually met up in a downtown office where I walked into a boardroom fresh. He actually was introducing me to the CEO and COO and everybody. And the first time I had ever done that, and I said to them, I said, their business model was they were going to take the steamer and clean gum off of concrete, and they were going to clean the pads on gas stations.
Okay.
And I said, guys, I think that's a great idea, but I said, I think there's a huge, huge opportunity with steam cleaning kitchens in large restaurants and hotels, et cetera, et cetera. And they said, and then I said the magic words to them, right? Because when you're sitting in a room full of men that have just invested quite a bit of time and money into this project, I said to them, I think I can charge, here's the number, $895 a night to go in and steam clean like a cooking line or walls or ceiling tiles. And their eyes lit up. So their eyes lit up and they said, well, why don't you become the president of this company? I said, well, okay, if you want me to. So this is exactly what happened from that meeting. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but because it was all based on, they liked that $895
Sure.
Because I said to them, $895, you multiply that by 30 days in a month, right? And you're a little under $27,000, right? That's some pretty nice revenue. And I said to them, that's only nighttime revenue. You have a whole nother 12 hours in the day where that steamer can go out and make money. And they said, hey, we like the way you think. We like the way you're going with this. So they booked me a ticket to Europe, myself and my good friend Lowell Fisher, who is now the importer of this equipment, which is from a little town called Torino in Italy. Beautiful town. They actually, to me, in my opinion, so far from all because I've tried a lot of steam machines, they pretty much make the best one in the marketplace today. And so off on a plane I went. First we went to England, then Germany, and then we ended up in Italy. And the minute I walked into the factory and I met the owner, his name was Sassy. Unfortunately, he was old then, so he's since passed. The minute I heard that steam machine, I said, that's our machine. I knew that was the one. So the difference between the German one, which was good, and the Italian one was, the Italian one, you never had to stop. It always continuously kept on going. You never had to stop and repower up. It was a 9 kilowatt machine, which is the highest machine that had ever been in North America. So the exciting part of all this is we brought that equipment back to Canada. Yeah. And right from Toronto, we started building this franchise, which was a company called Surface Corp, which came up in 1999. So it was so exciting. It was so exciting to be able to bring that. And we actually called up a keg restaurant because I had already been working with the keg restaurants for many, many years. So I called them up. An owner that I knew was up in Newmarket. Yep. And I said to him, I said, listen, I want to come in and clean your kitchen for free. Guess what he said?
No.
But here's the best part. Here's the part you'll like, Chef, is that his kitchen, by the time we get to it, it was actually already cleaned by a contracting cleaning company, because the keg always does that.
Sure.
And so we actually were working with a clean kitchen. We were there for 5 days. We pulled everything apart. I wish, I'm actually going to try to find that video at some point so I can post it, because it's really the beginning of steam for us. And in 5 days, we pulled everything apart and basically made that kitchen pristine, right? And then I took that video and I went to people like Cara Foods, right? People like Sir Corp, people like all the different people in the business, Kelsey's, Montana's, Swiss Shelly, etc. All I did was I took that actual camera and I would go and I would sit with a kitchen manager, a chef, particularly the chefs, obviously, right? And I would just show him the video. And as I was showing the video, it would never go much more than a minute. And he would grab me by my hand and say, come over to my line right now and tell me what you can do for me. So it was a pretty effective way of communicating what it is that we did. And to say the least, business exploded. It absolutely exploded. We were cleaning restaurants, like I said, for Cara, for kegs, for back in that day, basically everybody that was out there was really wanting, and this was right around the time, by the way, if you remember, we were talking about the chef, when they were doing the red light, green light thing, which still kind of exists a little bit here.
Yes, that's right, with the Board of Health.
Exactly. So there was a little bit of fear in the marketplace that we didn't want to get a yellow mark or forbid a red mark, because they were saying in California, if that happened, your restaurant basically got marked as one that just don't go. And many restaurants in California, because of that, actually shut down. So they lost their business. So there was definitely a real concern about cleanliness. We were doing places like Bruno's Fine Foods here in Toronto, Canada. We did jobs for people like Fortino's, where we went into their meat lockers. Because here's the exciting thing about steam is that it's 6% moisture. So I can actually carry it in my hand in your kitchen, and you won't feel the moisture on the floor at all. And the small amount of moisture that it makes as I clean any particular item, I can pick up with a rag.
Right.
So it's very different than power washing, which of course everybody is pretty familiar with power washing. So it's 6% moisture, doesn't damage equipment. I can work right around the electrical components. And the results, which I know that you're going to post some of the different things. And of course, if they go to the website, they'll see the before and afters. The results are nothing short of spectacular.
So cool. Now, I know that, I mean, of course, getting contracts with the big brands is a big coup, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
I mean, through integrity and just throwing proof in the pudding.
Yes.
There's a couple of other big contracts that I think are in your crown jewels as well. One of them being Skydome. Yes.
So what happened is that I think I told you, or the story I shared with you is I was working with a client at Kelsey's. And back then, because I was always looking for the next new item or product or whatever, he had a lot of brass in his restaurant. It was a Kelsey's. They've now since done away with brass. Most restaurants have, right? Because it's kind of a, exactly. But
Right.
I had the special product from Germany. I went in, I polished his brass. He was so excited about it that I had restored it. It was brilliantly beautiful. He said, listen, I want to introduce you to this gal. Her name is Sue at Wayne Gretzky's restaurant. She's looking for a great contractor. And I think you might, I think the two of you might really hit it off. So I said, hey, that sounds great. So what happened out of that meeting was not only did I talk with Wayne Gretzky's, but they said, just so you know, this also involves working with the Bitove family upstairs. By the way, the Bitove family was the family that brought the Raptors to Toronto. So they are actually, I'm sure,
very popular this week.
Yeah, I'm sure with the Raptors just recently winning their championship, they were probably ecstatic. Nick Bitove and Jordan Bitove were very, very instrumental in bringing the Raptors to Toronto and the Sky Dome. So the exciting thing is I was all a part of that, because what happened was I not only won the contract at Gretzky's and the Bitove office just upstairs, but then they brought me over to the Sky Dome.
Oh, wow.
So now I was cleaning the Hard Rock Cafe. I was cleaning the restaurant in there as well. I was cleaning Windows, which is a huge restaurant, and we were cleaning sightlines just above it as well.
Right.
So, and in fact, even up until today, so I no longer actually do the day-to-day cleaning there anymore. That kind of transitioned.
Sure.
But to this day, they still call us once a year to go in for 3 nights with our steam machine and steam their entire kitchen. So it's a relationship that has continued, even though we don't do the nightly. We definitely do their deep cleaning. They love us. And I've transitioned through several chefs there, and each chef just tells the next chef, this is the guy you got to call, because he's going to make sure that your kitchen looks its best. When it comes to specifically tied to audit time, right?
Sure.
So that's what happened. Here I am. I'm doing the Sky Dome. Like you said, it blew my mind. I'm in Toronto, and to be honest with you, I looked at the CN Tower right next to it. And I'll be honest with you, I never even imagined in a million years of even approaching them. And I don't know why, but let's fast forward that a little bit, which is kind of exciting. I meet my partner, Johnny. I really was wishing he could be here today, but he's actually out with his wife for her birthday at a very special meal in Toronto. So he couldn't be here, but maybe next time. But anyway, so the CN Tower, I met him about 18 months ago. He was cleaning Cactus Club and Cheesecake and several other very large, very profitable, high volume businesses. And he said to me, he says, you know what? He says, I want to clean the CN Tower. And I said, well, then we should do that. We should find a way, formulate a strategy. We actually went on LinkedIn and we just said, hey, chef, listen, if you're ever looking for a company that is, really good at cleaning back of the house, we would love the opportunity to talk to you. What was really cool about that, and what I love about Chef Morris is the chef at the CN Tower, phenomenal chef, amazing guy. All he said, he wrote back, he says, listen, I'm not really sure where we are with that right now, but I want to keep you guys in mind. But he did go to our website and he did check out some of the things we do. About a week later, he responds back, he says, as a matter of fact, I'd like you guys to come in and give me a quote. And we went in and gave him a quote. And when we showed him the links to like the equipment, the chemicals, the planning, the strategy, there are 9 staff members there every single night that clean all those kitchens, including the kitchen right up on the 360, right?
Yeah.
By the way, it's a view you never get sick of.
Oh, no.
Because when I go up to see the guys up there, right, and check and do my stuff, right, I always go out and take a view of what I believe is a beautiful city. Not that Vancouver isn't a beautiful city, because it's a gorgeous city, but Toronto is it's my home, so it's a beautiful city. And the view is always stunning. No 2 ways about it. So he invited us in. He actually said to us, he says, your price is a little high, but we really want to work with you. So how can we find a way to bring a number that we can work with and that you can work with to get the result?
Right.
We negotiated and we came up with the number. We just finished just recently being there for our first year. And they actually called us and said, listen, we'd like you to come down because we'd like to renew for another year. That was absolutely, I mean, that, you know, that's validation that you're doing it, you're hitting the mark, you're hitting your goals, and that the chefs there are pleased. In fact, one of the greatest things I love to do and is when a chef comes in to the kitchen after if first thing in the morning. Sometimes it's 4 o'clock, as you know, 5 o'clock in the morning, and they just come in. They kind of look at you and say, thank you for giving me basically an opportunity to have a fresh start to my day, and now I feel like I can really put out some excellent meals and get going. So I love doing that more than anything.
I like that you took the opportunity to mention the negotiation process with the CN Tower people. Now it's one thing to talk about, hey, you're moving on up and you're doing the CN Tower and you're also doing Sky Dome and the bigger names like Kelsey's and the Keg. But I know that you clean smaller restaurants too and smaller venues. So if a smaller operator wants the same quality of work done and they come and approach you, what advice can you give them on looking at their budget to fit that in, to make it work?
Absolutely. So I think the perfect example of that is I work with a chef, a very good chef and a brilliant chef. His name is, I'm forgetting his name, Michael Cipolla. So Michael Cipolla, Chef Cipolla, worked with a very large company. He was actually the founder of the concept and everything of the Beer Market. So the Beer Market is a very successful chain of restaurants that eventually Cara, which is now Recipe, acquired. So he was working with them. He had a big budget. And I met him there, and he was very impressed with our deep cleaning, very impressed with our nightly procedures and everything else. Cara went through some shifts and stuff like that when they, as they acquired other companies and they were somewhat purchased themselves by a financial institution and so on. So they went through some changes, and there was some, I guess the chef didn't see eye to eye with the new movement of where Recipe was going. So he decided to go out on his own. And he started a company called Local Restaurants, Inc., which is based out of Hamilton. And the first restaurant that he ever brought up was a restaurant called Hamburger. And that restaurant was on King William, right downtown Hamilton. And so he called me up. He says, Robert, he says, listen, I loved what you did for me at Beer Market. I'm a smaller restaurant now. Can you help me? Can you help me? I don't have that kind of budget. I said, absolutely, chef. Let me come down and see you and let's discuss this and let's talk about what your needs are and how we can put together a budget that makes sense for you, but gets the results that you're looking for. And in fact, he had tried to clean his own restaurant for probably a period of about 6 months.
Right.
And after 6 months, he said, you know what? It's just too much. I can't get the quality. I can't focus on what I'm supposed to be focusing on, which is my guest when I'm, So he said, so I went in and sat down with him, and it was as simple as this, chef. All we said was, when it comes to the kitchen, if you could get it mop ready for me, if you could just sweep it and have your staff kind of, work in a what I call an organized and efficient way, and just don't kick things under the oven. You know what I'm talking about, chef. Yes. Because when we get busy, that's what happens, and I know that. But if we can sweep up at the end of the night and you take your garbage out and just leave the floor, so all I have to do is come in, soak it, scrub it down, and wet vac it, that will save me half an hour a night. And he said, oh, that's amazing. Then I said, if in the front of the house, if you could just lift up all the chairs, right? That'll save me probably about another 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was. And I said, that way I don't, so it came out to almost about an hour of labor savings, which at today's rates is roughly between $18 and $20 an hour. So that was a $600 difference. So I was able to offer him a price. He had 2 restaurants side by side. One was Hamburger, one was Fish and Chip. Right. Small restaurants. I mean, we're talking 30 seats. So they're small restaurants, right? And we were able to put a price together for him that absolutely met his needs and met his budgets. And in fact, today, he's now expanding into St. Catharines at another hamburger, at a Mexican place called Lost and Found, which is really exciting. And he also expanded over to Ottawa Street, which is right around the corner from Tim Hortons Field. So he now has 5 restaurants. And in some of the other restaurants, he actually hired other companies. Like in St. Catharines, he actually hired another company. And but he found that, he said, Robert, what he liked about me was he could come in on a Monday morning and he would see me there, and I'd be checking on the quality of cleaning. Because one of the things that I do for all of our clients is we have an accountability program where we not only make our contracting cleaner that works with us accountable to his results, but we want to be accountable to the result of the owner of the restaurant, of the chef, of the general manager, and everything else. So I do audits on a frequent basis, and I just check to make sure that we're following all the proper procedures. So I'm at Hamburger. First of all, for instance, last night was a gorgeous night here in Toronto. I was at Hamburger on Ottawa Street having a hamburger and a beautiful chips and a nice beer and enjoying it. Maybe because I know the restaurant's clean. That might be one of the reasons, but definitely I'll tell you. But I will tell you something though. The chef, Chef Chipolo, if you ask anybody, and it's kind of coming up here in the Hamilton area particularly, that people will come from all over. They're saying that it's one of the best burgers they've ever had, and I gotta say, it really is. It's a delicious. His whole menu is wonderful. So yeah, we can work with Michael Chipolo at one restaurant or 5 restaurants. I have friends that are chefs where they have 20 and 30 and 40 seat restaurants, and we work with them from everything from showing them the proper chemicals to helping their staff clean better. We are willing to do it all. So we're not just willing to take it only if you want a contract, but we're willing to support them in every way at every stage at every stage of the game.
So after all of these years and all of these big contracts and smaller contracts and coming up from working as a dishwasher, what do you think is the one thing that has kept you on the rails and moving up to the top of the CN Tower?
I think the one thing was just 40 years in, and I still love what I do. I absolutely, it's within my DNA. I love cleaning. I mean, today I obviously run sales and marketing. I'm out there every day knocking on doors, and I'm currently working on some software packages to improve our lead generation and stuff like that. Sure. But at the end of the day, so I was very blessed this morning, for example. I was able to choose to get up at 4 a.m. And at 4 a.m., I went over to a local Jack Astor's here where we are doing the cleaning. And the cleaner needed a new wet vacuum because his other wet vacuum had just, kind of blown up, sort of thing, right?
As they do.
As they do, that's right. So I was able to, so if you see what has happened with me is my attitude is one of gratitude. I can't tell you, Chef, how grateful I am. I am a cleaner in my heart. I love cleaning. I love when a chef comes in and says to me, Robert, thank you so much. You've done an amazing job, especially when we do the deep cleans. The wow factor is amazing. But I will say that I feel so blessed because I've traveled around the world. As you mentioned, I traveled to Italy to bring steam back. I've traveled all throughout Canada. Canada is a beautiful, beautiful country. Mm-hmm. Went out to Vancouver. I've cleaned the milestones in Vancouver for Cara. They actually sent me out there because they were so pleased with the results here. So I went out to Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Victoria, and we currently do some work out in Newfoundland. So I've been able to travel across the country, meet some phenomenal, amazing people, hardworking chefs, owners, and be able to provide, I hope for them, just the cleanest possible restaurant or facility so that I truly believe in my heart that a clean back of the house, for instance, because I'm going to focus on that just for a second,
sure.
shows up in the front of the house. Yeah. It always shows up. In other words, I mean, you would never plate a meal and not have that plate look as perfect as you can. Well, it all starts with the back of the house. It starts with the attitude of the chefs and the sous chef and everybody that's there, the produce that you get, the product that you bring in. And I mean, I don't think I have to tell you because you are a chef. To be able to work in an environment that's clean, I think is at the core necessary. It's where it's got to start. I truly believe that cleanliness is, showing my faith maybe a little bit, but cleanliness is next to godliness. I really do. I really do. And so it drives me every day. I love
Amen.
amen. There you go. I love the people I work with. I've been able to, I'm a cleaner that's traveled around the world, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, all throughout the States. Some trips that were a lot of fun, like New Orleans, where, I don't remember much, but it was a great trip. I'm a very blessed person, and I think today more than ever, after particularly recently going through a couple of situations, health situations in my life, I love life more now today than I've ever loved it, and I'm loving people more than ever. So I love talking with the people, right? Like the truth is that I could easily get away from sales and marketing because I can jump in any day to the operations, and I love it. So just recently, I was down at a restaurant, and so the chef says to me, I've got a grease catch, and it won't come out. It's like, I don't know what to do. Rob, can you help me? So I looked at it. It was very simple. Just the way it was constructed was poorly done. The panel where the bottom of the broilers was covering to take the grease trap out. So I actually had to take it off. I finally got the grease trap out, was able to empty the grease, which of course, is going to cause any kinds of hazards such as slip, fall, or perhaps even fire, right? Which would be terrible. So we were able to do that. And I said to him, just take it to your engineering department, cut off this one little piece here, make it a little bit shorter, and then you won't have to take this panel off. He said, Robert, I've been thinking about this for the last 4 months, how to fix this. And you come in here, and it's just because it's my nature. I see things, and I am by nature a solution based person, right? That if there's a problem, let's find a solution. And more importantly, chef, let's find where the core part of that problem is. Let's deal with that. Let's not just put a Band-Aid on it. Let's find out what the real problem is. Let's deal with it, and then let's move on in a positive direction. So I am so blessed to be in this business 40 years later, and I just know that it's just going to get better and better.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, whether it's what we usually start off as a short conversation on the phone, and we could talk for days and days about the industry. And even I find myself thinking, all the days, and I'm always been a stickler for a clean kitchen, to the point where if you talk to people who have worked for me and under me, I'm the guy who will have his whites on and go down on my belly on the floor and look under the equipment to see that it's clean. And if my whites are not clean when I come back up, there's hell to pay.
Absolutely.
Where have you been my whole life?
Yes. Well, you know what? I'm glad we met now, and I'm telling you, I want to make it available for any chef or anybody, because I do the same thing, chef. As I go and do my audits, I get right down on the floor. I get my flashlight right underneath, because as you know, these are places where if you don't take care of them, they become problematic. And then, it only takes a little bit before you start getting a couple of pests, which means you get a lot of pests. And no restaurant owner, nobody wants that. And so if you really pay attention to, and it's not something that, these are not necessarily daily activities, but they can't be neglected. Like I feel that I just feel that the industry has not really taken an accounting of what does it really take to properly clean my restaurant, my kitchen, my front of the house, my washrooms. So as a result, I think what they've done is they just said, we don't know what it's all going to take. Or they let an accountant, unfortunately.
Right. Nothing
Nothing wrong with accountants. I'm not trying to put them down, but don't let an accountant set your budget for your cleaning, because he probably doesn't know what it actually takes. Definitely it has to be attached to profitability and sales and all those kinds of things and square footage. But at the end of the day, who should really be creating that budget is myself and yourself, if it's your facility, because you know what you want. I know how to deliver, and then we just set a budget for it. And then we work from what I call an appropriate budget. Once you have an appropriate budget, then you can have an expectation of a clean facility.
Sure. Well, it's interesting that you say that about different parts of operation, because I've said for years, and somebody told me 100 years ago, that operating a restaurant isn't knowing how to do a few things well. It's a million little things. And I know, it's I hear that it's not quite summer yet where you are.
No, the summer hasn't completely. Although today it's like 23 and it's humid, and it is a little bit warm. So it's finally coming. It's finally coming.
But I mean, that leads into patio season, beer taps, fruit flies, all of those things. I know, in the past I've run into that too, and I know that you guys look after that. And you've got solutions for that too. I mean, it's that's one of the million things, right?
Absolutely. So most of our clients out here have some real challenges in their bar areas with fruit flies and those kinds of things. And they've gone to all lengths to like things like covering the beer, covering the, with saran wrap, covering the pop machines and so on. The number one thing is you have to have a clean bar. If you don't have a clean bar, you have an opportunity for them to find places to grow and lay their eggs. Drains is another area that is very critical, that drains are clean and that you even take the top off and we take our steam and clean right around the rim and actually kill any potential stuff that's going on. So I won't say that we can eliminate it 100%, but I will say that with steam in cleaning and keeping the area clean and having what I will call, and I'm going to kind of coin this phrase a little bit, a clean conscience about it, a clean consciousness, just keeping things clean, wiping things. And then, yes, we actually have a chemical that we currently use, which creates what I call as a biofilm, which the fruit flies don't like. Yep. So they end up not reproducing. So there's very, very few. The only fruit flies that are there are from perhaps the fact that there is, as you know, on every bar, lemons and limes and different things like that. So they are attracted still to that. Right. But we've been able to bring the level of fruit flies down, significantly. Yeah. And so the secret to it is a clean bar, making sure that the staff has clean consciousness on their mind, that they're keeping things clean and wrapping things. And then this spray has been huge for us, whether we're doing a keg, Cactus Club, or any of the contracts, or even, like I said, the hamburger location for Michael Chipolo. Spraying this product down allows it to create the biofilm that doesn't allow the fruit flies to come back. So yeah, we've been able to really reduce, not eliminate completely, but certainly reduce the number so that they're not attacking the guests too, right? That's the last thing you want is a fly or a fruit fly or anything like that start buzzing around, your clients, right? It just takes away from the experience.
Well, this is the season for that, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, they're always like unwelcome seasonal guests that you want to be rid of.
Absolutely.
We do leave this open for question and answers. And we do post this live video, obviously, onto YouTube, so we can expect that up usually within a week of the live show. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor to speak with you, Robert. Like I said in the introduction, your entrepreneurial spirit, your experience, your success, and even the mindset to say, you know what, if you stay within the lines and you do a good job and you keep your integrity and you have guts enough to go and ask for the contract, then you can be successful in any business that you put your mind to. And I've been looking forward to this conversation for several weeks since we first talked about bringing you on. For people who want to learn more about your business and more about you, I mean, obviously you're on LinkedIn and connected with myself, and coincidentally also with the chef from the CN Tower.
That's right.
And people can also find you on your website, which is CanadianExpertCleaning.com.
That's correct.
I got that correct. I always have to correct myself in Canada, whether or not it's .ca or .com. So I just want to be sure.
It's definitely .com.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We'll wrap this up unless there's anything you want to add today.
I guess I just wanted to say one last thing, if I could, just kind of like a closing statement, if you will. So one of the things that we're doing, we're focusing on coming into restaurants and showing them how on budget they can be a lot cleaner. One of our main targets is the deep cleaning or the steam cleaning of equipment, ceiling tiles, walls, the washrooms, bars, and so on. But the other thing is that we are launching in the next little while a company that I've had a passion and a vision for since I started this, and it's called iClean Network. So it's not up and running yet. It's something that we're going to be launching. The purpose of iClean Network is to network across Canada, North America, and even, I hope, globally, to connect not only cleaning contractors, but owners of restaurants and owners of hotels and owners of multiple units and so on, like the Keras, like the teriyaki people as well and stuff like that, so that they have an area to go to kind of begin to ask some questions. Like you said, if they're having difficulties with cleaning or budgets, or they can't seem to find the right cleaners, I love to take the knowledge that I've acquired over 40 years and be able to pass that on. And that's really what that network is going to do. It's going to pass on that information. I've been out to Calgary. I've been out to the beautiful city of Vancouver. My daughters both live in Victoria and Tofino, and I'm probably going to be out there, I would imagine, in the next month. But I guess what I just wanted to close with saying is that I just love to serve in this industry. And that's what iClean Network is all going to be about. Is going to be serving the not just the hospitality industry. I'm going to open it up to the entire cleaning industry, but definitely in the hospitality sector is to work with chefs like yourself, to work with chefs like Chef Morris, and everybody in between to help them get the cleanest facilities that they possibly can. So that's really what our dream is and our vision, and we're excited to do that. So thank you so much for this opportunity to talk with you and to talk with everybody that will get this message.
Well, I think the iClean concept is a wonderful resource, and to have access to you and your expertise is huge.
Thank you.
Huge. And I can't wait to see it grow, and I can't wait to help be a part of it if there's any way I can through our global network as well.
Absolutely.
Again, Robert Coull, Canadian expert cleaning, 40 years in the industry. This has been Real Hospitality Live, and thank you everybody for watching today live and also on our YouTube channel, where you are welcome to come on, ask questions, and I'm sure that Robert will be popping back to answer questions. And Robert, in the future, I'd love to invite you on to one of our future panels as well. Another project that we are doing where we're going to bring experts on, and we're going to have a community conversation, because Real Hospitality Live and Hustle Hospitality Network is designed to be a community for people in the industry to be able to ask each other questions. Hey, where can I find this guy? Where can I find the best one of this? Where can I find the best equipment, the best service, the best product? So, and I would love to invite you onto a future episode, and also our future webcast that we are designing as well. So I'm looking forward to speaking with you many more times.
Thank you so much, Chef. I appreciate it. And I absolutely take that as an honor to be a part of any panel that you might put together, because I certainly have a passion for this industry. So thanks so much.
Well, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk again soon. And thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Bless you and bless everybody. Thanks.